first one. Tell us about his upbringing and childhood.
Yeah, my upbringing, my childhood was good. I have a family of yeah, three siblings and mom and dad, so it was a good home, no problem there. We didn't, what do you say, didn't uh, experience not having anything or something like that. So we had a good upbringing, and yeah, that's agony for quite a while, quite a long time in my school. I had what we call school boredom, so I didn't like school that much. Then I was into a boarding school, back to a regular school, and didn't work out. Then again sent to a boarding school, which worked a bit better for me because it was more practical work and also school. So that helped me a lot, and it actually helped me get pretty good grades and like exams and all that. So which I wasn't prepared for at all because I was never good at school. Then yeah, in my adulthood right now, I work as what we call telemarketing employee, which I've done for like 5 years now. With the great thing of it being from Monday to Friday, so wrestling in the weekends work great for me. But that's pretty much me. How I was got, how I was raised was, yeah, I think like normal for everybody. Had normal life, maybe experienced some bad stuff with the bullying, but that's past me now. And luckily, I have right now wrestling, which helped me a lot also with coping that, as you can say.
Hmm, interesting. Does this guy, Sebastian, have other hobbies besides wrestling?
I watch soccer, football, as we call it in Europe, which I follow the FC Copenhagen team quite a lot. I also, which is maybe a bit geeky here, but I also play Pokemon Go, which is a bit big thing next to wrestling for me. But that's kind of my hobbies. And then I spend most of my time right now, yeah, doing those things as I can do wrestling. So but that's kind of what my hobbies are. I don't really have anything else I follow that much like other people maybe have. That's my main interesting, as you can say.
When was his first experience with wrestling, and eventually his in-ring debut?
Back then, when I started watching wrestling, I was that was maybe, yeah, that would have to be '05. There wasn't wrestling schools in Denmark. There was one place called Danish Wrestling, which is now Danish Pro Wrestling. They were the other end of Denmark, which is not something you could do as a 10-year-old kid, um, at least by yourself. And there was many years where there weren't wrestling at all in Copenhagen, which is quite baffling for many people, maybe, as is the capital of Denmark. But there was no wrestling at all. Then DPW came with a few shows, not even to Copenhagen, but to a small town called Køge. Then they started a wrestling training down there. At I think was back in '08, '09, and I joined that place. It was not a good place, but at least you got the basic of wrestling. They had the basic wrestling training from Chaos and Mr. Pay Per View, but that was pretty much it. They didn't went to anything. They never got bookings from the Danish wrestling back then or anything. We were just ring boys for them and training for ourselves. So we didn't really extend to anything. And then a few years passed, and then I noticed that these people I trained with back then suddenly were in Copenhagen training wrestling. And then it turns out that a guy called Copenhagen Hangman Jesper had started up a place called Copenhagen Championship Wrestling. I just stuck to it and just trained and saw my opportunity, got the great opportunity of having my debut match at Copenhagen Festival the following summer after joining the training. So that was pretty good, pretty cool to get to experience. And then I just decided not to keep holding myself back anymore and invest to be a pro wrestler. Decided to go to Fake a Break training camp. and I've been there for the past 4 years in a row. I was supposed to go this summer also, but I think that's cancelled um, because of this. Um, that's how I got my foot into it, and the experience of now, as mentioned, was Copenhagen, so it was a festival. But the experience of getting to perform in front of a live crowd for the first time ever, even though it was pre-show match, was mind-baffling for a young kid still, and it's a moment that I look back on every time I go into a ring. That to have that same experience every time I go into the ring. And yeah, a few years later, I'm sitting here and suddenly are the champion of Copenhagen Championship Wrestling, which I didn't see at all coming my way. But that's just how life is.
So apparently this guy, Sebastian Day, is the CCW champion. How can it happen?
We had these semifinals. Show I don't remember. I think it was Over the Edge show we had back in 2018. The first semifinal ended up a double count out, so we decided to make the other semifinal between me and Carlos Moore a championship match, which ended in a double DQ because of Pete Phoenix and Hangman came in and interfered, and then we had a fatal four-way match, elimination style, which I won, even though I still can't believe it. It was a great moment. To be the first champion of CCW and being the first champion for any promotion is mind-boggling for anybody who gets to do it and gets to do it in the first promotion in Copenhagen. It's amazing. The match itself, I feel, was a good match for my part, but also the opponents in the match, Pete Phoenix, Hangman, Carlos, I respect a lot, all three of them, because they all three are in their way a great wrestler. They have their way of wrestling is just fitting perfectly for them. Carlos with his MMA style, Hangman with his more notorious style of old school wrestling, and Pete who comes in with his more new style pro wrestling. I think the four guys in that match, all four deserve to be the first ever champion. I was just the lucky one.
Lucky? Don't be so hard on yourself, kid.
A match to see forward for me and Hangman. Hopefully that would be a great one also, but I still haven't got the chance to really face Carlos yet as champion, so I would really like to do that before I lose it to anyone, because that would be amazing just to win win that title in a match like that, and then get to also defend it against all three people individually would mean a lot to me. But let's see what the future brings.
Humble champion. But has it opened any doors since winning the title? And you can be honest with this question.
Did open some doors for me, potentially in Germany, also in Sweden. I see a door open there. But there has also been this, I didn't back then. Right now I was going to do it until this sadly close down happened all over the world, but I didn't look out for opportunities outside because of my main job. It was full-time, so it was hard for me to plan it. Then I got an agreement with my work to go part-time, which would give me more time to eventually go out and find bookings outside of Denmark. And this happens, but I see it's much easier to present yourself as a wild wrestler to other companies when a company has trusted you with a championship, especially the main title, because then they expect you, of course, to know what you're doing and be able to wrestle properly. And so, yeah, it did give me more doors to go in, but I haven't stepped the foot in myself yet, which is a stupid mistake on my part. But yeah, I admit that openly. But I hope when all this is done, that I can take that one step further into the wrestling world than I already am.
Rumors say that you have a role in CCW as a booker.
Yeah, I also have this funny role that was after I became champion. I've mentioned worked a lot of years in CCW, but I last year became part of the booking team of CCW, which is a challenging thing. We want to have these storylines all wrestlers can feel like they're part of, so it's not like just hey, come in, wrestle, leave again. We want them to know that they have something to look forward for.
How is the Danish wrestling scene compared to other countries, and where should it go?
The wrestling scene in Denmark is small. I can see on the different promotions that the size of the crowds that they attempt to get is pretty different from town to town. I feel like Copenhagen has shown now to be a mainstay for wrestling. I think because they can gather crowds around the 200 marks as a minimum, pretty much every time. But I see other parts of Denmark not being that interested in wrestling as hoped. And I feel like that's, of course, sad to see. And that's just maybe just how Danes are. They see this thing that they feel is fake, as some people call it. And we see it as the other thing, as the entertainment part, as the challenging thing of trying to put up a live stunt show for these people. A lot of people don't realize, unless they have seen wrestling and seen some of the wrestlers after the matches sometimes, that the stuff that we do does hurt a lot. And a lot of people do crazy shit to sell to these people that it hurts a lot. And I can vouch for it together with some matches with Carlos. You can look those up. Some of the matches me and him have has been hard hitting, and that's to show the people that it really takes a toll on you to do these matches and to do these things. We probably still have some stuff to work out before we can get to that mark, but I feel like Danish wrestling should be able to get up to that point and deserve to be at that point, because a lot of Danish wrestlers from around the countries are great, talented wrestlers, which a high chance of getting overlooked because of people in the UK and Germany having this high level. I feel like Danish wrestlers should be able to compete with those guys right now and in the future, even be better than those guys. So Danish wrestling scene has a promising future, but it depends on how it's being worked on by the different promotions, what they do, how they treat people who wants to be a wrestler also, because I've seen sadly some cases of wrestlers being overlooked of personal reasons, which I feel like is pretty bad decision to do in any promotions.
I want to thank the CCW champion Sebastian Day for his cooperation. Good luck, kid.